Hello, welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 451 at scavengerlife.com.
Here we are. Hello, trash shells. We're live. We're live. We're living our life. Another day. We're
alive.
We're marching on. Yes. We had a good talk with TSAT with Troy.
That was a very good episode. Yep. I enjoyed it. Good. I listened to the whole thing. Really? Obviously, well, I edited it. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
But it's good. I mean, Troy is definitely like a numbers guy by profession. He does, I say, I like numbers, but he really loves them. I'm like a baby compared to what he does.
Exactly.
I keep all of our numbers on just like a text document, which is, hey, it works for me. But
that's your daily numbers. Like, we do bookkeeping in an actual, like, formatted way.
Sure. Well, that's like the accounting, bookkeeping. But, he keeps like numbers as far as like knowing the health of his business through these like spreadsheets.
It's like doing predictions.
I actually don't know how to do spreadsheets, like Excel formulas. Like I don't know how to create.
It's so easy. Okay. Like I just need to show you.
I think I'm at the age where I was just a little bit too old for that stuff to be happening in school, in high school. Yeah. Like I remember in high school, we did it at a computer lab. But it was like they used TSR-80s, the Radio Shack.
Yeah.
It was
the Tandies.
Yeah, basically like Commodore 64 kind of things. Yep. And I remember going in there once to think about taking it, and it looked so boring.
You're just like, ah.
Yeah, so anyway, I never learned that. And in college, I was an English lit major, so we didn't
You're like, computers, what are those?
Anyway, it was good. I'm not sure. I still not sure if I buy into his theory of doing predictive numbers on his inventory.
Yeah. You mean for us?
For us. I just don't. Yeah. I guess if you have like consistent inventory, like I sell men's shirts.
Right.
Maybe in that sense, I can see you could see trends. Like we're really selling a lot of,
button
polo
down
shirts.
Yeah. Right.
But I just feel like our inventory is so wacky and crazy and varied. So it's like, I don't see how we could find trends.
Well, you could find trends within categories, like trends of categories, like us just instinctively being like, okay, we've been selling a lot of ceramics.
Right.
Mostly because we've been buying a lot of ceramics. So you're hoping you're selling those.
So that's an interesting hypothesis. But do you think in our store, when you see the things we sell each week, that we sell enough of any one thing
to see a trend?
Like a trend needs to have enough numbers.
Like boom, there's a spike.
Like, Troy, when I look at his numbers, I'm just talking off the top of my head. I mean, I think he might sell like 200 things in a week.
Right.
And a lot of them are shirts. Right. So that's a lot of numbers. Like this week we sold 52 things. Right. But like, I don't know.
Enough data.
There might be 4 jackets in there. I mean, there's not enough.
And you're like, because it's cold out.
But again, that could just be me making excuses. Although I will say, Troy made me feel good. He says, it's still all just best guesses,
Well, so the predictors are best guesses. Right. And that's why I actually really like this episode, because he was like, yeah, we did best guesses, predictors for years. And then 2019 happened, and that information was like erased because it just changed so much. Yeah. And we saw that too. Like our numbers fell drastically. There's so many factors that go into that. It could be the sales tax got implemented, Poshmark really hit a peak, blah, 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 whatever it is. So it's interesting. He was like, oh, my predictions were completely, off this year.
Yep.
So you're like, you're hoping that on steady years, it's not like that. But then this year was like, flip that on its head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting perspective. From someone who's like obsessive numbers.
Yeah, I love when people are talking about the facts as they can, if they have a hypothesis, they bring out the facts to try and prove it, and then that's really good. It's better than coming up with a bunch of conspiracy theories that have no basis in reality. And it's good. And again, I also just like the acknowledgement that really we're all just doing the best we can. We're all basically a little bit helpless. I mean,
we're just guessing.
There is no absolute control. Yeah. No one has absolute control.
Like you could have inventory, like my example of ceramics and china and glass. I could have, 600, 1,000 pieces of that inventory and never sell a single one again. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
That could happen.
And, it's interesting. I mean, again, this is like, I am not a business person, like CPA or whatever.
Right. You don't have a business.
What's a CEO? MBA, that's it.
Just whatever.
But, even like, if you think of like a huge corporation like Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
They sell this product and everyone's just like, oh yeah, they're just like gigantic and huge. But they also, the only control they have is advertising. Yeah. Like that's really the difference between us and like Coca-Cola is just like they spend a lot of money on advertising trying to get people to drink that product, you know?
All the time.
And, so we're different because none of us, I guess some people are using social media to like advertise their products. But yeah, we just hope that people show up and buy it. All right. This has been real talk, but let's go to some more real talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we going to have fake talk?
I'm going to pick at a scab a little bit here.
Yeah.
Okay? Like a mental scab in this community.
I have so many. Yeah.
And that is, we've been slow for a while, and we've been complaining about, and we were worried, like, oh my God, maybe we just have, like, our inventory is just too long tail.
Yeah, no one wants it.
And we'll talk about it. Our numbers have gotten better. Like we actually started selling a bunch of like really cool stuff, but a lot of it's really old. And I guess the scab to pick at is like, we always talk about this. How long are you willing to keep your items in your store? Like keep them active. And it's a whole, we put them up and we just forget about them and they go. And honestly, it's not, we don't really forget about them. We do sales.
Yeah, sure. We send out offers.
Yeah, every so often we're going through our inventory and we're like, this thing I have seen.
Put this thing on $8
for 5 years.
Yeah, just get it out.
Is literal junk, and I don't know why I put $50 on it. I will change the price. We don't take it down.
No,
we just change the price.
And that happens rarely, but it does happen.
But for the most part, we just let things ride.
Yeah.
And this kind of week is one of those weeks where I'm just like, everything does sell. Like
stuff that you're like, look, stuff I listed 2 days ago, sold. Stuff I listed 4 years ago, sold.
Right.
What?
Yeah, there's no, and and
for good prices.
And that's the whole thing about the whole trying to predict, like the whole spreadsheet. I'm just like, how do you predict that? It's just, I can't. We sold 52 items this week. And that's a good amount for us.
Yeah, 52 is great.
I mean, every day, so if you're selling over 7 things a day, I mean, every day we're like, can you believe that thing sold?
Yeah.
Like, when do we buy that, And I love that. And I do wonder, I know there's the people out there that are really into like, if it doesn't sell in 3 months, it's gone, it's trash, forget about it.
Yeah.
I wonder how long other people are willing to hold on to their things. Like,
you mean other long tail sellers?
Yeah.
Like us?
Or just really anybody.
Well, I heard people on the forum say, they'll look back to when they took the photo, which I can also do too, on some of very old things. And I'm like, I have had this thing since 2012.
Right.
That is 8 years.
Right. Because, I mean, obviously...
But it cost me almost nothing.
Obviously, we all want things to sell.
Yeah, I want things to sell right away.
In a perfect world, we will put it up. Everything sells. It's within a month, and it's good. And if there was like the perfect price, if I knew if I priced it at $28 instead of $30, it would sell immediately. But I mean, I think we've learned that with long tail items, it's really not price sensitive. Like it can
tend to not be price sensitive.
Like you could price this item for $100 or even $5.
Right.
And
just the right person hasn't found it.
And it's so long tail that there's only, 10 people out there that buy these things and it doesn't matter the price.
Right.
It's not like there's like people waiting for the price to go down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we do sales from time and again and send out offers because we are willing to work on the price. But even with that, it's not like, we're selling hundreds and hundreds of things every day.
Yeah, like it's like we were talking about with the predictors. It's pretty steady. Like, I mean, our numbers were low this year for sure, whatever reason that is. I don't know. But it's like, can you can't predict when something that's long tail will sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So I'm sure people have opinions, and
says my Bachelor of Fine Arts major.
I just put that out there because, again, those of us who are we put the item up and we forget about it. Right. Those of us that run stores like that, when it's good, it's good, and when it's bad, you totally question it. And
yeah, of course. When it's good, it's good, because you're like, oh, I was right.
But why don't we say during that period when things were slow, and just because we had one good week doesn't mean like it's going to be good forever. But, when there were those handful of months where it was good and slow, if we had said, well, these are all bad items.
Right.
Let's just dump them all and take, truckloads of stuff to Goodwill.
Right. But then a month later it sells.
This week we would not have the week we had. Exactly. Like, it's kind of like you got to go all in.
Yeah. So that's the long tail rant.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about eBay.
eBay.
eBay week. Like, specifically. Okay.
eBay week.
I noticed, I don't know if anyone else did or if I'm just new to this. It looks like on an eBay item page, they've changed how the photos work.
They're on the left. They used to be on the bottom, right?
I love this. So instead of before, you had the main photo and then like all these photos underneath, and there was no click through. You had to actually click on each.
There's a click through. Oh, well, sort of. Yeah, if you do the big,
did it big, then you could do it.
Through, yeah.
But it's like
that's true.
It's not like in the window itself. You could click through the photos. They've actually changed that, so you can be on the item page and read all the info, and then click through the photos on the page itself instead of making it bigger. I like it.
That took 25 years.
eBay. Big thumbs up.
It took 25 years to do that.
I'm only going to give them good things. Good things. Okay. Also, someone was saying about envelopes, postal.
The flat rate padded.
Yeah.
So someone on the forum was like, these got thinner. They might have, I think maybe the plastic on the outside, like the poly mailer part on the outside felt a little bit thinner, but maybe he's talking about the bubble.
I mean, he was saying...
It felt fine to me, but
What he was saying was, and it was... I forgot his name. Old guy. It's like on the forum.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Old.
I mean, that's actually his name.
Yeah.
I forgot his handle. He's saying that actually when he tries to put things in there,
it's smaller.
It's not holding as much stuff as before. Did you ever notice that?
No, but I don't know if I shipped anything that like couldn't fit. Right. You know what I mean? That would normally fit. Like everything fit that I was shipping. I guess this week.
I guess he sells a lot of auto parts, so he probably has stuff that's
very
pretty
specific,
consistent. Yeah. And he's like, this one item will always fit in there, and now he's like, oh, it's not fitting.
I wonder if they just went down half an inch, because that'll make a difference for a very specific item.
Sure. And I guess you don't have to announce things.
I mean, they're just like, we did it. Yeah. So it's free, shut up.
Yeah.
Basically. There's some rumors swirling around that on our forum and in Reddit or wherever that USPS is going to start charging for those supplies, which I think would be crazy for them to do, because FedEx and USPS, they give a lot of free supplies, so it's kind of competing with them.
I guess I could see sometimes it is weird.
I get it.
You see like people every so often who are kind of new and they're like, I just ordered by accident
1,000
50 boxes of envelopes. I only meant to get 50 envelopes.
Now they do have limits on certain ones where they're like, okay, padded flat rate, you can only get like 2 sets of 25. Right. Like it's good that they limit that in a way, but if you are a big company, you're like, I kind of need more than that. But I had these little flat rate envelopes that are like 7 by 5. I accidentally ordered like 200 of those. I use them all the time, so it's fine. But I have this huge box that I've just been digging into because I accidentally did that as well. Yeah. So I'm sure the post office is like, they don't, but I don't know, you're kind of paying for that if you're using priority. I guess that's the point where they're like, it's priority boxes and envelopes, so ship it priority.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
And then I posted a video I saw online from The Guardian. They did a video where they were talking about how young people are into secondhand clothes. We've kind of been talking about this on the forum and on the for a while, You
need them to buy them on eBay, please.
And it's interesting. I mean, they didn't really give any new info, but it was just interesting to kind of see it all contained in one place where, there is... with young people, they're taking... Here's their hypothesis. Young people are now on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they need to be in different outfits, which is different, I guess, from the days when we didn't all put our lives online.
Yeah.
And so they can't afford a bunch of different outfits unless they're buying secondhand.
Right.
And so that's a big thing. The other thing is the environmentally conscious. Like, why keep buying new clothes? Yeah. And the other thing is the ability at secondhand stores to be able to trade up. You can go and get like really good brands for not a lot of money.
Especially if you're in an urban area. Like if you're, like Salvation Army in New York, the Salvation Armies and Goodwills we've been to. I mean, you are looking at, Dolce & Gabbana blazers that cost hundreds of dollars and they're like $7.
Right.
And you're like, great, I'll do that.
What's interesting to me was, and the main reason why I bring it up is that it was kind of sad. In the video itself, they were like, in the old days, people used to go to eBay. They actually showed an eBay page. And then they went to, but this is the old way of doing it. And then they showed the little thing with where the hourglass, where it's like real slow, and then they showed it's like an error page because to show like how old eBay is. And then they talked about where young people are shopping now.
Poshmark.
Well, they were talking about Depop.
Yeah, that's another one.
This is in England, so I don't know if DEPOP is
if it's more popular there than Poshmark.
And and they were interviewing young people, and they were like, "Yeah, it's great. It's like a mix between eBay and Instagram, and I can like things, and I can follow things."
eBay, you better be listening up. I'm serious. It's almost like, it's almost like this, right?
It's
eBay,
almost.
No, you know what it is? Who's the CEO of eBay right now? I don't know who it is, but it's somebody. You need to buy Poshmark.
I was just going to say that. I mean,
y'all need to purchase.
eBay, their stockholders are forcing eBay to like sell off parts of itself, so they just sold off StubHub, I think, for billions of dollars, $1 billion. I mean, they have cash.
Yeah.
eBay is still a profitable business that is generating cash. They should be like
just buy them.
Facebook, how Facebook, they like bought Instagram and WhatsApp. Like they're...
Like Facebook is not sorry they did that.
They're making sure they're buying into the future. eBay, I don't know why they don't do the same thing. Buy some of these other little apps and don't ruin them. Just let them be, but
integrate them.
Right.
Let me cross post.
Right.
Let me get to that millennial Gen Z, whoever, market through my eBay listings.
Right. Yeah.
Let me have it in both places.
Because, I mean, I don't know why eBay would even care that we're saying this, but, because we all know that a lot of eBay sellers are already doing this. They're finding these sites that are cross-posting.
Right.
And some people are even jumping off of eBay just to sell directly over there. So it's kind of like they would want to buy these other sites for a couple of reasons, to get to the buyers who aren't shopping on eBay, but also to retain the sellers who are jumping ship.
Right.
Because they're like...
Then you're like keeping your sellers, right? It just makes sense. But look, it's like PayPal buying Venmo. When they bought Venmo, I was just kind of like, why? Not why, but I'm like, what's the advantage when like you can pay through Venmo with no fees? And you're like, oh, you're like tapping into this whole other market, and you're going to start to offer services that do have fees.
Right.
And they have started doing that. Yeah. You want an instant payment, blah, blah, blah. You want a debit card that's through Venmo, you're going to pay fees.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess when I watched a video, I was just thinking like, oh yeah, we all say eBay should change and compete. And maybe it's just like, you know what? eBay is just got too much history too much infrastructure that it would be too hard for it to like pivot quickly and change.
Right.
But it should just do what a lot of other tech companies do.
They buy.
Purchase, depop, purchase.
Right.
What's it called?
Poshmark. So also, look, we had our former life and some of our life now in Silicon Valley in technology. And, you know, what we saw happening was, you know, if you think about it, Facebook bought WhatsApp. If you ever watch that show Silicon Valley, it's like, it's dead on. And you're like, why would someone like Facebook buy WhatsApp when they could just create they could just create something and crush WhatsApp? Well, they're buying the CEO. They're buying all the software engineers. They're buying the technology. They're like, great, the technology's already built. We don't have to rebuild it.
Buying the audience.
They're buying the audience. Exactly. That was the next thing I was going to say. They're like, oh, all these people on WhatsApp who aren't on Facebook because they're in like Argentina.
Right.
They're like, well, let's buy them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some of it is and acquire hire is
right. Rant, but you know, that's the advice. That's my CEO to CEO advice.
That's my free advice. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about our week on eBay. So, as I said, we had actually a pretty good week. I mean, better than what we were.
There was stuff selling.
I hope it keeps going. We sold 52 items for almost $2,300.
Thank God we broke $2,000.
Which for us is a very good week. We have not had a $2,000 week in quite a while.
A lot. I can't remember. I have to look back and see.
Yeah, so it was very, very nice. You know, things we sold. You know, the highest price was $400 for this antique work shirt.
They have not paid yet.
Yeah.
I am praying that they pay.
True. Ryan actually listed it for $1,200.
Yeah.
And we kept getting offers for about $300. So it's like we've said it's before. Here, I'll talk a bit in a second about the shirt itself, but we've talked about it before. When you have an item when there's no real market, like, you know, there's not an obvious price.
Right.
We put a high price on it with make offer, and then we just see what offers people are sending. So we had several $300 offers, and then when we got a $400, I was like,
that's the highest.
That's probably what the market is.
It's the market. Yeah. It's not a jacket; it's a shirt.
So when we went to an auction several weeks ago, I bought a big lot of just like old clothes. Like, it was like military clothes.
This was literally at the bottom of a box. Yeah. Crumpled up into
$30 for the whole thing. It was great. And some of it was, and this was a shirt we thought was junk.
I almost got rid of it.
Right.
Because there were so many stains and like marks on it.
But from our experience selling some other things, we remembered that antique work shirts, like and when I say antique, it's like before
1920s, basically.
And the thing is, it looks like a normal kind of like vintage shirt, but it's got that chin strap.
It's got what they call it a chin strap, but it's sort of like a button strap on your neck to go across to kind of like keep it in place.
Right.
And I just kept looking at it, and I kept looking at the buttons. They were like these metal buttons that looked like they came from the manufacturer, not like someone had put metal buttons on it later. And I was like, this just feels older than like the 50s or 60s. Like there wasn't a tag, there wasn't a label, so that was difficult. But I was like, this strap thing is weird, and I haven't seen that before. So I just started Googling anything I could think of that might be called that, and little things would pop up. Oh, there's a shirt. Oh, they called it that? Let me research that shirt. Oh, they called it this other thing. That's what mine looks like. It's just literally, I think we were driving down to like some auction in like Roanoke, and I was on my computer doing this research. I was like, I'm in the car for 3 hours. I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole and figure out what this thing is. I was listing it then, you know, what to call it, blah, blah, blah. So, it's funny when you get things like that and you're like, this thing's garbage, or it's from the 70s. Okay, well, it's not. Yeah. Like, whatever instinct is telling you, this looks weird and old and something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the danger obviously is that then it can get like, you start thinking about that every single item.
Every single
maybe this
item.
item isn't a $30 item. It's actually
like a $1,200 item.
But so it's good. It's it's just one of those really cool things that you can find at auctions with research.
Hopefully this was a valid offer. I think he sent us a lower offer before, and I countered it. Yeah. And then he countered with this one.
And we could have, again, it's the thing with offers is we could have just held strong. But man, I was like, take the money and run. This is great. So hopefully he'll pay. He's got a lot of feedback. So
he's got a ton, 3,000.
I don't know what people do with antique work shirts that have holes in them.
I don't know if he's going to wear it.
It's all great.
Display it.
We also sold... Actually, a handful of winter jackets, some like vintagey or just good quality, like wool winter jackets, like peacoats between $50 and $100.
And some of them sold right away.
I will say it is interesting that, when we're talking about Troy TSAT, talking about doing like predictive spreadsheets. I mean, when we first started our store back in 2008, I would say a large portion of our sales were these like winter jackets.
Right. Interesting.
We had a lot of access to them. They're good quality.
They're vintage, totally from the 50s.
A $50 like really good quality winter jacket is a great deal. Yeah. And we would sell a lot of those. That does not happen.
No, like this was rare. I think we sold 3 or 4 in a row. Right. And I was like, what's going on?
So that is something, but we didn't really need like a predictive spreadsheet. We just kind of could just tell over time. We're not really selling. Yeah,
like my jackets aren't like I'm not going into that inventory and grabbing them.
And that is interesting. We were talking about the forum, Dan the Diner, who we interviewed several weeks ago, months. Yeah. He was talking about on the forum. He was like, I wonder if one of the reasons why clothing sales are going down for a lot of us isn't just because of Poshmark and Depop and other sites. If it's also because the huge clothing sellers are moving on to eBay, like ThredUp. They're this like website that sells vintage clothes, and they have like tens of thousands of items. They actually now have an eBay store as well. Right. And the comparison is, it's like when people were selling books on Amazon, and then those giant booksellers moved into Amazon, where they're selling books for 99 cents plus the $3.99 shipping.
Like the lowest, because as we say, when they're sellers that are that big, they make money on volume. Right. They sell 1,000 $9.99 shirts. Right. And you're like, I gotta sell mine for $20. So who's gonna buy my $20 shirt?
So I don't know. I mean, that is an interesting idea of just like kind of, and it's smart, if you can sell 100 shirts a week, can you sell 1,000 shirts a week? And if you have businesses that are willing to ramp up with like warehouse and lots of sales, lots of employees, and they're buying, giant bales of used clothes, you can't
compete with that. Yeah. And maybe the market was flooded with that stuff, it could have been. It sounds like Dan was saying he noticed that it was. So that could be another factor. And I also wonder, though, with things like that and things like the Poshmark and the sales tax and whatever the deal was, I wonder if it'll level out. Because I remember when the sales tax thing kind of hit, it was like November, December, maybe a little bit of October. That's fourth quarter holiday time, and we were not seeing that boost. We were just like, this is still slow. This is still summertime slow. So I just wonder, but now it's February, the end of February, and we're like, it feels like it's evening out a little bit. So could that be, the market corrects itself, right? I don't know if that's the right term, but I just wonder if just there's a dip in 2019, and then it's kind of like we get back up there,
Yeah. It's just hard to say, but I feel like, clothing sales are a lot more competitive, and that's just another hypothesis that people are kind of... Scavenge of the week. I don't know if we talked about this yet, but we did go to this like thrift store. Just one of these small, random, independent thrift stores that you just kind of run across. And those are really the best. Right. Like they are the people that work there are not on the internet. They just, they get, I mean,
there's no eBay printouts.
It's kind of just like the way it used to be, that they're getting the stuff for free and they're just glad when things sell and they're not trying to maximize profit. They're just like, anyway.
They're like, move it out.
So we talk about like pottery and china and plates and all that stuff. Like we have a love-hate thing with it. Like I can't believe we're so all in on this stuff.
It sells
and we're always like, we just got to stop buying this stuff. It's like crazy. The storage of this is nuts. And like, does anyone want this? But this is a good example. We go in there and there's like these 2 shelves of like, someone died.
They were a collector.
Donated a whole giant, probably
a whole room,
wall of stuff. And this place had just one price on it. It was like $60 for all this stuff, and we were like, "We'll take it." And
because I'm going to break it up into it was Japanese.
Right.
I still have to research it. You're like, it's Japanese. You're like, that could be anything.
It's not even photographed and listed yet, but it is one of those things where we're just like, we always look for the items that other people are unwilling to deal with.
Because I understand why they don't want to.
It's hard to store.
It's hard to ship.
It's definitely long tail.
You got to research it. Look, there's 4 different. They're all of the same style, but there's like 4 different makers mark from before the 1910s, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah.
But I have researched them, and I've researched them in the past, and I recognize some of the marks. So I was like, I think I can do a little.
And that it definitely is, that $60 investment. I mean, we will make back that money and make a lot of money on this, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. So we're still into that thing. While other people are dealing with clothes, we'll just deal with the stuff that other people are maybe ignoring.
And it's tough because stuff does break, and sometimes you get customers. Like last night, I sold 6 dessert plates that I'm like, oh, I don't even know why someone would want these. They were Williams-Sonoma, but they were pretty tacky to me. But
we are not our target audience.
I am not my target audience, and that's fine. I got a message from them, and they just like were being obsessed. Like, you just have to pack it. You have to send it this way. Please. They just always break. And you're like, okay, I packed those things. I packed them this morning. I packed them like a crazy person too. Because I'm like, I don't want them to break. Like, I just want to make sure that... So there's that anxiety of like, it's not like folding up a shirt and putting it in a poly mailer and like... first class mail.
Well, I think that's the other barrier to entry, why a lot of people don't get into this stuff because of that. And because I don't ship, every time we are in that situation where we're like, should we buy this? I always look to you because I'm like, Ryan.
And sometimes I'm like,
you got to ship this. Are you into it?
It's just, it's a lot of bubble wrap and peanuts, and that's it. Yeah. It's fine. And you insure it, and if it breaks, it's got insurance. Yeah. So that's just what it is.
Yeah. And that really is like our business model is like, as much as I say I would love to find inventory where I'd be willing to pay $100 if it would sell for $500, that's like some fantasy. Our business model just continues to be buying stuff for really, really cheap. Like I think we bought over 100 of them items for $60. So it's like, it was like less than $1.
It was like countless. I was like, oh man, this is, I don't even know.
And they were so cute. The people, the older people who worked there.
They wrapped every
they're
piece.
Like
they helped us wrap every piece.
They were so excited. We
cleared off a whole shelf. So we were like, sorry you had to pack all that. And they're like, oh, we're so glad because we have so much more room.
And plus it all started where I wanted like 2 of the pieces. I was like, I just want these 2, I would have paid $5 for these pieces, but they were like, nope, you got to buy the whole thing. And I mean, who's
gonna buy the whole thing?
Yeah. So anyway,
who's gonna buy the whole thing except a reseller?
Except us. So. Yeah. Okay. Customer issues. We had none. It was actually a decent week.
Actually, pretty not that bad.
Things we learned in the forum. We've talked about some things. There was one guy. It's always fun when like a new people join the forum, and I guess I don't say this enough, like the forum is great when like you come on and you introduce yourself. Like, if you just kind of randomly ask questions,
backstory.
No one really knows who you are. I think we all like to know like who you are, not like not personally.
Why are you on this forum?
Everyone's basically anonymous because they have funny names, but like what kind of store do you have? What do you sell? what's your experience? Tell us your problems you're having. What's your success? I mean, it's a community. So this guy came on, Nike guy. He's in California, and I'm just like, why are you? You sound like you know everything you need to know. Like,
why are you asking?
He started when he was in college selling, buying old phones on Craigslist and reselling them. That was a really hot thing for a while for younger people, especially because people would like be giving away their phones.
They're like, I don't know, just take it.
And reselling them. Like, what a business. And he got into like electronics. And then he said he actually got into the whole private label on Amazon. He had like, I don't know, 20, like a bunch of items that he was selling on Amazon that
private label.
He said were like doing really well. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And now he's gotten into going to outlet stores, specifically shoe outlet stores, and buying, I guess, the extra inventory and reselling those not only on eBay but these other like shoe sites and like doing really well. I'm like,
dude, you're like, we all need to learn from you then.
I'm like I'm the old guy in the parking lot selling stuff out the back. I mean, he's like doing really well. But he was asking everyone, because he sounds younger. I'm just going to guess. He was like, I've got a full-time job.
Early 30s or something.
I'm also selling shoes and these other things. He says, I want to quit my job.
When should I quit my job?
And it's like the question that always gets asked.
Like, I don't know.
And people were giving really good advice about the practicalities about knowing your numbers and lowering your expenses and, saving up enough to like have your expenses covered for 6 months, so you have your room. And I think I always jump in with like kind of the emotional side. Yeah. For lack of a better word, like less. Yeah. And, and I remember when I finally quit my job, I'd met you. Yeah. And you were like, come on,
let's quit our jobs, Jay.
Let's just start our own business. I mean, I was like, can we do this? I mean, I think for me, the fear of grinding out my life working for someone else was greater than my fear of where we were going to make money. Yeah. I think that's really important. Yeah. If your fear of having a steady paycheck is less than your fear of grinding it out at a job, then you should probably stay at your job.
Well, look, the other thing too is while you have a steady paycheck, save your money. Right. Because we had money saved just in case. Right. We were making money, but...
Right. So that's a practical thing, like saving money, but just the emotional part of it is because, a lot of it is dealing with like anxiety. You know? And again, that fear of grinding out has to be greater than your fear of like not having a steady paycheck.
Yes, agreed.
And also I knew that we were both smart and we worked hard, so I wasn't so worried about that. Like we'll if you are honest with yourself and if you're like, I'm a pretty lazy person and if I didn't have a job to go to, I would just play video games all day and wouldn't work. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. You should. I think the other thing is, knowing your expenses, that's definitely okay. But it's also like emotionally, like being okay with a level of helplessness, kind of like we talked about. Yeah. Like there will always be, when you run your own business, things that are out of your control. Yeah. And you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Ryan.
Yeah. You're saying that directly to me. No one else is hearing this but me. Right.
Yeah. And that's...
Look, and that's a hard thing. I struggle with that.
Because, there is...
all the time.
There is definitely like, we fantasize about it. What if we just got jobs where you can just show up and kind of get told what to do and kind of let go of like a worry of what happens
like
next.
No responsibility. Yeah. Not that there's no responsibility. It's just a different level.
But ultimately, like there's not as much helplessness. Although we all know having a job, you're helpless. They could just fire you at any time.
Right, and many of us have experienced that as well.
Especially in America, they can fire you without cause, no reason.
Yeah, so, you're just like there is no safety net. No matter what.
I think the other thing too, when people thinking about going and doing any kind of business, but also just specifically selling online, is you have to be self-motivated for sure, but you have to be okay with a little bit of boring. Yeah, we talk about eBay. In my mind, is very unglamorous. Yeah. When you go on YouTube and you see guys hyping about selling online, and, I'm like doing so great, and like I'm making so much money, I'm killing it. They are like glossing over the majority of time selling on eBay, super unglamorous. You know, you wake up, you ship, you clean items, you organize, you take photos, you organize, you list, you deal with random customer, emails. I mean, it's day in, it's day out. It's 7 days a week, you know.
You don't stop. It's Sunday and I packed because I want to get ready so that I can do other things tomorrow.
And, you know, there are definitely highlights. Like it's fun to go to auctions. It's fun when that like $400 shirt sells, but ultimately it's pretty mundane. And, you know, you can have the best month of your life. It doesn't really matter because you then have to have another decent month and then another decent, you know, like there's no
stopping.
There's no like jackpot and then it all stops.
Right.
And,
like, I think that's something that I struggle with too, where I'm like, you know, you can't stop.
Right.
There's no stopping. You can take a break.
Right.
You know, you can go on vacation or whatever.
If you build up your inventory like we have.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah.
But like, you can't just be like, I don't feel like it anymore. Okay,
Right.
cool. Well, your bills aren't going to get paid.
And the other thing is like, you know, so this guy, he has a partner. I think he's a wife with kids. But, you know, I was like, with anyone that has a partner, man, you have to make sure, are they cool with this idea? Like, are they going to be cool not having that consistent paycheck anymore? You know, are they going to be on the same page and not spend as much and keep expenses down?
Right.
Like,
are they frugal? And
you know, are they going to share in the excitement of having you at home every single day instead of out earning that regular paycheck?
Right.
You know?
Yep. And we've talked to many people who are like, my partner / spouse just does not get it. Like they are not happy.
Is even actively being berating me and making me feel bad. I mean, that's...
So you got to figure that out.
I mean, are they going to help you in your eBay business or take on, you know, child caring or doing other things so you can do the business, you know? So they're basically a partner in that, you know? Yeah. Basically, are they on the team?
Yeah.
A team... online selling,
team
or
e-commerce?
Are they fighting you day to day? You know, calling you a failure? Like those are
like
very
this isn't
important.
a real job.
And you know, and then to summarize, I think the other reason that gave me confidence to quit my job way back when, 2006, something like that,
2005,
was I knew I could always get a job. Like,
yes.
I knew I can quit this job, and actually I quit it in a way that like I didn't burn any bridges. Right.
You were like I'm moving.
I could probably come back to the job in a year if I had to.
Right.
Like and even now I'm like, we're smart people. We work hard. I know if we had to, we could both get jobs within 3 months.
Yep.
I think, you know. Yeah. Any kind of job.
Doing something.
Either a really good paying job where we might have to move or just get a local job that at least pays the bills. I just don't see that as a problem, especially in this economy where it just seems like unemployment's so low. So that's the other thing. Like, it's not like it's once you quit a job, you never can have a job again.
Right. Like you can go back to it.
But I will say, if you quit your job and you start to work for yourself, it is so addictive. It would
man.
We may fantasize every now and again of like these steady paychecks, but man, it never goes beyond just the fantasy because I am so addicted.
I looked at job listings. Like, this is not a joke. Some of our numbers were so low a few weeks ago that I was like, what are there, just honestly out of curiosity, not like I'm not applying for jobs, but I was like, what are the jobs around here? And you know, there were I did see some video editing jobs and producing jobs at local TV stations in the greater area, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, I have to be there for 12 hours a day or more. Like, they're just like, oh, we expect you to do every news, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah.
I worked in local news, Ryan, and I could tell you about the local news grind. Yeah.
It's a grind.
But, you know, So is that something that you did at like 2 a.m.?
Do I ever stay awake till 2 a.m.? No,
like
it was like...
waking up.
It was like during dinner one night. I was like, I'm just curious. And what's the salary? It's terrible.
It's weird, though. I was reading on a Reddit about this, how people are getting sick of, and it's true, a lot of jobs don't say how much they pay you. I think is really weird because I guess they want to interview you, see what you made at your other job, and
craft it.
And then you have to say what you want, and it's like this weird negotiation. It's like, put a price on it. I would hate that.
It's crazy.
Okay, let's go to questions that people sent in.
Okay, you can call our voicemail line any time of the day. We will not answer it. You have 3 minutes to leave a message. The phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us an audio file from your phone. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, this is Don up in Central Ohio. Just calling to give all the listeners a little update and a lesson, something I learned the hard way here today. By the way, love the podcast. You guys give some great information. I really appreciate it. So I did something the other day that I never do. I cleared out my PayPal account. I had an extra bill, so I just took it down to zero. And lo and behold, I made a sale. Of course, didn't have that item in stock. That's only happened to me 2 times in 20 years. Did not have it. It just was gone. Sold it. It was just a bad listing. So I figured no problem, whatever, just cancel the order, do the refund, except because I'd taken my account down to zero, and because PayPal now does not give your fees back, I didn't have enough money to do the refund. So when I went to the automated process, I got an error message from eBay telling me I did not have enough money in my account, and I needed to contact my processor. So I called PayPal and went to their voicemail maze and got a really helpful person on the phone that said, well, we'll go ahead and credit those fees back to you. Do you want me to do the refund? I said, that would be great. But before you do that, let's get eBay on the line because I'm not sure how that's going to affect the overall, I didn't want to have any problems on the eBay side. So he got eBay on the line. We told him what we were doing. They're like, fine, everything's going to be fine. Not a problem. Go ahead and issue the refund. He did. I sent the email to the customer, said, you've been refunded. Everything's great. I got a very scathing email back from that customer a little while later telling me that she did not get her tax refunded. She was very ticked off about that, wanted me to refund her tax. I said, well, I don't touch the tax money that's taken out by eBay. She said, I already talked to eBay. They said, it's your problem, not theirs. I said, okay. I went back to PayPal, and suddenly, between the time they had done the refund and when I went back in, there was $1.55 sitting in my account, supposedly the amount of tax that would have been refunded. So eBay sent it back over to PayPal. Problem was, the tax was actually $1.65, not $1.55. So now I was in the same exact position that I was earlier. I couldn't do the refund because I was a dime short. Long story short here, I think eBay is charging us a dime to collect tax. PayPal couldn't explain it, couldn't tell me why. eBay only sent $1.55 back. But I'm just telling, for all those conspiracy theorists out there, maybe something to it. I think it would be just like eBay to go ahead and slip in a little dime charge. Nobody's going to notice. The moral of all this, and the easy way just to avoid my headache, is just never, ever take your PayPal account down to zero. Always leave money in there. I will never make that mistake again because it wasn't worth the hassle, the phone calls, the time invested, the pissed off customer, all those things. Just not worth it. Anyway, thanks for all you do, and have a great day. Hope somebody can benefit from my stupidity. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever taken it down to zero.
Yeah,
just in case.
I guess I had a question, why would you do that? You
need to pay for shipping and stuff.
At least, if you're tight on money, I would at least save $100 in there.
Just keep $50 in there.
I do hear that with some, I'm not saying it's this guy, but I do hear some sellers that are kind of, hobbyish, new, and they're always like playing with their PayPal account where they need to get more money to buy more inventory, and they're just like, we always keep a good chunk of money in our PayPal account. We're not worried about it,
In terms of eBay taking a dime for taxes, I don't know. I would love to hear if other people have seen that.
There must be, someone who's more like some accountant, someone that knows about financial stuff. There has to be a way to
calculate that,
check and to find out.
I just wonder if because that was such a weird situation where you didn't have any money and you had to call all these people, like there was some kind of mix up, but I'm not sure.
So I will say that I noticed this a couple of weeks ago. So like this week, we made in profit on item profit $2,290.33.
Yeah.
So that was like how much our items sold for. But the grand total of the money that came into our account was $3,046.89. So that's like over $700 on 52 items. That's $700 for shipping, and I'm assuming taxes. I mean, eBay is taking out a lot of money from buyers for, I guess, taxes. I mean, we didn't have really anything. Shipping wasn't so crazy.
Some things were heavy and bulky.
Like that heavy shirt, that $400 shirt. Someone they
just paid.
They paid while we were doing this. So he actually paid $50 to ship that thing, probably because it's
not at all. Actually, he paid $17 to ship it.
Holy moly! Oh, you know what it is? Yeah. So this guy bought an item for $400. Shipping was $17.91. Taxes $34.48.
34. So they're in Texas. So
right.
I don't know what the percentage is.
Who knows what the
34.
Yeah.
So okay, right. So like you're seeing, it depends on the state, right? Some states are 5%. Some states are like 9.7%. Like it's a high number. So that's where you're seeing that elevation. Because you said that to me the other day, where you were like, "There's so much extra added in," and I think it is that extra tax weird amount that we're seeing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know about if eBay is adding on another 10 cents or not, but I definitely kind of in parallel to what this guy is talking about, that I am seeing that buyers are paying a lot more for items because of these taxes. And
yes, and I honestly feel like that contributed to the dip in sales for things,
but also about like him seeing fees. So we're getting $700 more into our PayPal account
and paying fees
that we're not actually getting in our hands because it's going to shipping and taxes. But I don't know how much we're paying on fees on having that $700 be transacted.
Right, it's transacted, but we never touch it. Yeah. So it's frustrating, and I hope that changed with eBay managed payments, where you're like, don't charge me a fee for you guys to collect tax. That's not fair.
Well, other people have said that it is fair that eBay charges a small fee because they're having to handle all this stuff. I mean, everyone was so afraid of the nightmare of like us having to collect tax and pay. Rhode Island, Connecticut, Texas, they're handling all that stuff. So I don't know. It would be nice if it was more transparent, where it showed you we're taking $36 for tax and this is how it's broken down. All right. We are done this week. Thank you. When we talk about a forum, that's at scavengerlife.com/forum. You can call and leave a question, as Ryan talked about. We also just like comments too. It's like he said, so it's not really a question.
You can see my other podcasts. You can see it. It's a video, shampooandbooze.com or youtube.com/shampooandbooze. I'm posting another one this week.
Where you and your sister are talking about design for Airbnb apartments. You guys basically dish on people's places.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is people send them to us. Right. It's not like I'm just picking them out of the blue.
To dish.
Yeah, it's fun. Shampoo and Booze. Check it out.
Good. And you can subscribe to us on a YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Comes in your wherever.
Spotify.
Gets in there. You can
Google
do it.
Podcasts. Yep. All those places.
And we also have an archive. So we have an archive of all of our podcasts from the past. How long have we been doing this? For years now.
7 years.
We actually charge for that, but it's actually a relatively affordable cost in my mind.
Pay my server fees. It's like 6 gigs of data.
If you go on our website, there's a link to it. So if you're kind of new to us and you want to hear the whole archive, it is free. If you want to go on a YouTube, it's all right.
It's all on our.
But if you want it like in a digital file that you could just put on your phone or wherever, your Zune,
Zoom.
and hear it all in order,
That's it.
we got you covered.
Yeah.
Anyway, this podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1.
Sell trash. Be free.
Be free.